Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slow English podcast series, the podcast where we practice real English, spoken slowly and clearly, so you can listen, shadow, and speak with confidence. I'm Crystal, and today's episode is a peaceful, slow English story called A Visit to the Countryside. If you're learning English and want to improve your listening, your pronunciation, and your speaking, you're in the right place. This story is perfect for shadowing practice. You can listen, pause, and repeat after me. And if you'd like to go even deeper after the episode, we've created a free, downloadable PDF to help you continue learning. Inside, you'll find comprehension questions, a short grammar and vocabulary quiz, and a gentle reflection prompt to help you think and write in English. You can find the link to download it in the video description. Now, let's take a breath and imagine something different. The air smells like grass. You hear birds, not traffic. The sky is soft and wide. The sun is warm on your face. You're far from the noise of the city. Just fresh air, open land, and silence. In today's story, I'll take you with me on a short trip to the countryside, where the world moves slowly, and nature helps us feel calm again. As always, I'll explain any difficult words along the way, so you don't have to worry. Are you ready? Let's begin. 2 weeks ago, I hit a wall. No, don't worry. I didn't crash into an actual wall. Hit a wall is an English expression. It means you suddenly feel like you can't go any further, mentally, emotionally, or even creatively. Like your brain just says, that's enough. And that's exactly how I felt. I was tired, not just physically tired, but tired of everything. The noise, the screens, the rushing. Even my phone felt too loud. I couldn't focus. I wasn't sleeping well. Every day felt like a repeat of the last one. Then one evening, I met my friend Claudia for coffee. She looked different, peaceful, lighter. I asked, "What happened to you? You look so calm." She smiled and said, "I went away last weekend, to the countryside, alone, just for 2 days. But it changed something in me." I laughed and said, "The countryside? That's just cows and trees." But Claudia shook her head. "No, it's space. It's silence. It's what your brain is asking for." She wasn't wrong. That night, I lay in bed, scrolling. But nothing was interesting anymore. My mind felt heavy. Even my favorite music didn't help. So the next morning, I opened my laptop, and I booked a small guest house in the countryside. Just for 2 nights. Just to try. I wasn't excited. I was still tired, still unsure. But something in me whispered, maybe you need this. I took the train in the early afternoon. I had packed snacks, some music, even a book, but I didn't touch any of them. Instead, I looked out the window. At first, it was all highways, traffic, and tall gray buildings. But slowly, the view began to change. The buildings got smaller. The roads became quiet. The streets turned into fields. And the gray city slowly faded behind me. After almost 2 hours, the train arrived at a tiny rural station. Rural means a place in the countryside, far from cities, where life is quiet, simple, and close to nature. I stepped off the train. No taxis, no honking, no people rushing, just fresh air and silence. I walked down a narrow road, dragging my small suitcase behind me. The only sounds were birds singing, and the soft wheels of my bag on the ground. I passed wooden fences, sleepy trees, and a single brown goat chewing grass near a mailbox. After about 10 minutes, I found the guest house Claudia had recommended. It was small and white, with flowers growing in the window boxes. A wooden sign outside said, "Welcome." Take your time. That made me smile. The owner came out to greet me, a kind woman in her 60s with short gray hair and a soft scarf. She looked at me kindly and said, "You must be Crystal. We've been expecting you." She showed me to my room. There was a warm bed with a thick blanket, a small wooden window, and walls made of stone. No TV, no desk, no noise, just a quiet, open space. I put my phone on the side table and didn't pick it up again. Then I stepped outside to the porch and sat down. A porch is a small covered space at the front of a house where you can sit and relax. There was a gentle breeze on my face. The air smelled clean, like grass, leaves, and something sweet in the distance. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like I had to do anything. I didn't have to reply, or check, or scroll. I just sat and breathed. The next morning, I didn't wake up to an alarm. Instead, I woke up to the voice of a rooster. It was loud and funny, but also kind of charming. Not a phone, not a calendar reminder, just a real bird saying good morning in its own way. Sunlight touched the wooden window, and I stretched slowly. I felt rested, like I had slept for the first time in months. I stepped outside and walked barefoot onto the porch. Barefoot means with no shoes or socks, just your feet touching the ground. And let me tell you, that cold, wet grass under my feet, it woke me up better than coffee. The ground was soft and covered in dew, tiny drops of water that appear on plants in the early morning. Dew makes everything sparkle in the sunlight, like nature is whispering, "Take it slow today." And I did. I took it slow. I decided to go for a walk. Behind the guest house was a narrow dirt path, not a paved road, just soft earth with stones and dry leaves. A dirt path is a natural trail made of soil, the kind you follow with your heart, not a map. So I followed it, just listening to the sound of my own footsteps. On both sides, there were wide open meadows. A meadow is a big, grassy field, full of wildflowers, soft hills, and space to breathe. Standing in the middle of that field, I felt so small but free. The wind moved through the tall grass. Some cows were nearby, slowly grazing. Grazing means animals are calmly eating grass. No rush, just peace. And watching them, I felt the same. No rush, just peace. I kept walking. Soon I passed a small wooden farm. A man was outside, gently placing strawberries into a basket, fresh, warm, and red. The air was filled with an earthy smell, like soil, sun, and growing things. And honestly, I could have stayed in that smell forever. He saw me and waved. "Try one," he said. I did, and oh, it was warm from the sun. Sweet and juicy like it had never seen a refrigerator. We talked for a minute. His name was Peter. He and his wife had lived there for more than 20 years. "People come here to breathe," he said, "and to remember what quiet feels like." I thanked him and walked on. Birds chirped above me. Leaves crunched beneath my shoes. Crunch is that dry, sharp sound when you step on leaves or twigs. And each step reminded me I was walking through real, living nature. Not just seeing it, feeling it. I stopped for a second, closed my eyes, took a deep breath. "Time moves slower here," I whispered. Or maybe I finally stopped rushing. I walked back slowly with a small smile on my face. The early morning breeze still lingered on my skin, and my shoes were a little dusty from the dirt path. As I turned the corner and reached the guest house, the smell of fresh food drifted through the air. Warm bread, something sweet, and a hint of herbs. The front door was already open, and standing there with a gentle smile was the owner. I later learned her name was Maria. She wiped her hands on her apron and said softly, "Come. You must be hungry." And she was right. I was. She led me to the small kitchen table, already set with care. The dining table was small, wooden, and set for one. A little vase held wildflowers from the garden. And the food? Oh, the food. There was freshly baked bread, still warm with a golden crust. A small jar of homemade strawberry jam, sweet and slightly tart. And a bowl of soft butter that smelled like sunshine. Then she poured me a warm cup of fresh cow's milk, not the kind from a carton, but creamy, rich, and straight from her farm that very morning. She also set down a small pot of herbal tea, chamomile with mint. "It helps the body relax and the mind slow down," she said with a wink. She looked at me and asked, "Tea or milk?" I smiled and said, "Both, please. I think today deserves a little extra." She nodded and added softly, "It's all from the farm. We don't add anything. What you taste is what we grow." And it tasted like love. Simple, rich, pure. After breakfast, I stayed there, quietly sipping tea, watching sunlight dance across the wooden floor. No phone, no rush. Just the sound of birds and stillness. Later, I wandered through village, not with a destination, just curiosity. To wander means to walk slowly, without a plan, letting your feet go where they want. And that's exactly what I did. A boy kicked a ball down a dusty path. A farmer cycled past with a basket of eggs. Everyone moved slowly, not because they were lazy, but because they weren't in a race. By evening, I found myself back on the porch. Again, the same wooden bench, the same quiet. But something inside me had changed. The sky had turned gold. Cows moved slowly through the meadow, and birds sang their final songs of the day. And I just sat. Not because I was tired, but because I didn't want to miss a single second of this quiet beauty. With each breath, something unknotted inside me. Something I didn't know was tangled. That night, I slept without thoughts, without weight. Just a deep, quiet kind of rest, the kind that makes you feel whole again. The next morning, as I zipped up my bag, Maria walked in holding a small paper package. "For your journey," she smiled. "Something sweet, and something to remember us by." Inside were 2 slices of fresh bread, a tiny jar of her strawberry jam, and a folded note that simply read, "Take your time, the city can wait." At the station, I watched the countryside fade, fields turning back into roads, the sky filling with buildings again. But something had shifted in me, quietly, deeply. Back in the city, the noise felt louder, the lights brighter, the pace faster. But now, I could feel the difference. Out there in that little village, people looked at the sky when they walked. They listened to the wind. They waved at strangers. They weren't chasing time. They were living inside it. And for me, that changed everything. So if you're listening to this in a crowded train, or between meetings, or while scrolling through 5 things at once, let this be a reminder. Your mind deserves stillness. Your body deserves softness. And your heart deserves space to breathe. Even if you can't visit the countryside, you can still create a little countryside in your life. Slow down, step outside, unplug for a while. Because sometimes peace isn't something you find. It's something you remember. And once you remember it, you'll start to carry it with you, wherever you go.
Your progress doesn't end here. To continue advancing your English skills, click on the next video or explore the additional videos we've thoughtfully selected for you.